So we've been under the heat dome. So there hadn't been a whole lot going on here other than watering. There's been a few things, and yes, I do acknowledge we're on like an every other week schedule now. But you know, that is what it is. I've been busy. I'm not sure people are exactly missing it. So let's get started. I think the thing we'd start with, I'm not going to do quite everything this month. We're going to do a lot of it. But these are some of the tomatoes. This is the bed that's actually doing the least as far as tomatoes, and it's doing pretty well. You can see that I've started to clip things in and separate the different trunks of the vines. This will support it in here, and this will help me to like spread it out, make sure it gets airflow, and make sure it gets sunlight. So I've backed off the pruning. I will still prune them occasionally, like there's some stuff down there that probably needs it. Really, like I said, to keep up on the airflow, keep the blight from happening. We're kind of letting all that veg in, the other veg in there go to seed. Nasturtiums are still doing their job. This bed is all the cherry tomatoes. And you see we got some spurs coming off. And we're going to have cherry tomatoes here shortly. That bed actually doesn't have, I haven't seen any tomatoes on there yet. But the other beds, they're putting on fruit. So, and all these will, the thing I love about these trellises is besides being able to prune and clip them in like I do so they all get light and airflow, is that, you know, that trellis is about 8 feet high from the bottom of the bed. And the tomatoes will go all the way up the trellis and start to come back down. So there's plenty of room for them to grow. I don't have to dig into a big bush or anything to get them. So they just, they're easier to access and they grow really well this way, it seems like. And so this is the like big tomato bed. And you can already see lots of tomatoes on this side coming in. This is the bed that's got about a week on the other bed. So it's doing really well. And you're starting to see we really like, I love like the black tomatoes in particular and the different colored ones. You know, we were at a farmer's market and it was like, oh, they're all just red. Um, all the tomatoes people had. And I'm like, that's boring. I can buy that at the store. Um, I mean, it would be better from the farmer's market. But yeah, these, I think they're beautiful and they taste delicious. Um, Already, I clipped in a few days ago and already some of them are grown up enough that I'm going to have to do some more. But like a vine like this, you can see I've split two in each direction and I will probably split those two as they grow up. And like I say, I'll create space and for them to come back down as well. But other than that, we picked a whole bunch of green beans. So there's been green beans, which has been good. Um, these brassica beds are doing pretty good. Also, there are peppers in this bed. They're going to be putting on fruit soon. But they're all doing pretty well, especially considering how hot and dry it's been. We've been watering like a section every day, but not everything in a day, trying not to. Um, our radishes we put down are doing well. And the other thing is we're starting to get cucumbers. The first ones are always a little funky looking. Um, but I have counted at least 5. I'm not going to search them all out and make you dizzy. But at least 5 coming up in here. And like I said, the radishes are doing well. Planted some more peas over here, I believe, and they'll come back with take those down. The blueberries are about done. This bush has done really well over here, though. And the 3 hives are doing fine. I've been in them. They're all right. But the big thing that I'm really happy with is this is done, more or less. We've planted some stuff in here, seeded some stuff. The clover will creep in, but also just decided to go and plant some flowers. I saw somebody do a meadow around theirs, and I really like that. So I'll let it clover creep in. I've still got to put down another thing of rock, but you know, the big thing is it looks a lot nicer. The plants are doing well. You might have seen a short where um, the water lily was blooming, and it'll bloom again tomorrow. The water feature is working, just not right now because this is the evening and the sun's going down over the trees. But you can see we've already got some seeds coming up here. So yeah, there'll be a full video. I'll have to put together all the footage I have where I filmed while I was working on it. And I'll put together a full video about how all that went. But let's go look and see if there's some other little interesting things in the garden going on. So before we move on, I thought I'd show you some footage of the pond, including Senor Froggy, who has grown quite a bit since he's been in there, and he is definitely living his best life now. He just loves it, and I'm jealous. The other thing is just from earlier in the day when the water lily was actually blooming and you can actually see the water running. I'm probably going to find something to go in the front of that, like a plant or something for the water to come through. But so far I'm happy with it. And of course we got more lining to disguise, but this is 100% better than what it was before I cut back the lining and we seeded in there. So I just wanted to share that footage a little bit so you know that the water feature is actually working. And now we'll return to the rest of the garden. So the squash has been coming hot and heavy. Lots of patty pans, lots of just squash in general coming out of here. More to come for sure. But yeah, squash is a regular part of my diet right now. Like, this is really, in my opinion, it's the best part of gardening, is when you get to these times of year and like every meal involves something out of the garden. That's doing well. I love these guys. Like, that guy is beautiful. There's one on the other side we'll take a look at. But these just kind of got moved. I don't know if they're going in there or not. I'm tearing down the greenhouse at some point this year to redo it before the winter. Even these tomatoes in the grow boxes, those are my dad's grow boxes, and we kind of divided them up when he passed. And so these tomatoes in the grow boxes are doing well. The basil is doing really well, most of it. And it's delicious. We have a Japanese beetle problem, obviously. It's all over this basil. I just put out new traps, but if they're going to stay on that one basil, I'll leave them on that one basil for the moment, and let the traps do their work, and maybe some soapy water if that doesn't take care of them. But yeah, we got a lot of fruit on these tomatoes out here, which is good. And then this little garden area is doing well. Everything's blooming. We're most everything. Had to pull out a Dusty Miller down on the end. We'll go look at that. We're real happy with it. We'll talk about these blue tubes here in just a second. I want to come down here. That weird Persian shield is putting on leaves again, so that's good. Our Spanish flag is starting to climb. I wish that more than half of it had bloomed, but it is what it is, or sprouted, not bloomed. But they'll climb up there. We'll get some more climbers in here. This is the first year for this. The first year for anything is kind of like, for me, it's like, okay, thaw test, and what does survive has got to grow in. So yeah, we'll take a minute, and so these, the new blue tubes, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new tubes of blue around, and those are all kiwis. We're trying kiwis again. We've tried the fuzzies in here. That's what we're doing again. Those are each fuzzies. In here, there is a fuzzy male and a fuzzy, a regular male, like a hardy male, not fuzzy, but a hardy male down there. And they should do well along the fence. They don't put on fruit, so they don't get heavy. Those two are the hardies out here, and they're kind of like, they're the ones that are like grapes. You don't see them in stores. They're not fuzzy. They're not real thick. They don't get real big, but they are like grapes. And the hope is that they will do well there as well. We have potted them up and let them grow in pots a little bit. So they had some roots, not as much as I would like, but we wanted to make sure they were alive this time before we planted them, because the others we've planted just did nothing. And our grapes are still doing well this year. That vine that survived is really just putting on a ton of foliage. I'm not sure how much fruit we'll get, if any, but that's okay, because I'm happy with it establishing itself for another year. And we'll take another look. That's the canna. I'm 99% sure on there. And those are real, like I said, I love them. They're real silky flowers and they're real big. But yeah, so that's nice. Babe and the dog are looking at me like she didn't know I was coming out here to do this. The dog doesn't, not really looking at me. She's sniffing something. But yeah. What have you found? Are you just eating grass? Kira, are you just eating grass? You're not going to say hello? She said, no, I just eat grass. Did she eat all her corn? She eat all her steak? Oh, so you didn't eat your steak or your corn? So almost everything in the shade garden is doing well except for the ferns. Like I said, it's been brutally hot and dry. Um, the ends get a decent amount of sun. The middle of this only gets about 2 or 3 hours of sun. But even with the heat and as dry as it's been, it's just been real on the ferns. And some of that may have to do with the way they were planted a little proud and a little tall. So maybe that has something to do with it. But we'll see. I got a feeling even the ones that are dying back will come back. We'll see. But the hostas and everything else seem to be doing really well. The hostas in the woods are doing well. So far, I'll call the shade garden a success. Everything up here is suffering from the heat, even though we've been watering, because this gets the most sunlight, probably, or the longest sunlight. But it's all still going, but like, you know, those black-eyed Susies are down. Really because they're so dry, they can't, they need moisture inside them to help hold them up. But my zinnias are coming up. Not all of them, probably not even half of what I planted, but still they're coming and they're as pretty as I expected them to be. So there's that. You know, those black-eyed Susies are doing okay, but they're gonna fall over. We'll probably cut some of this back in the next week. This is called Lucifer, and as you can tell, it's quite lovely, and it's doing pretty good. The flowers are gorgeous. I love the way the buds do. So yeah, the Lucifer is doing well. The bee friend is starting to go over, but that's all right. So these flowers, the heat's starting to get to them. They've lasted a good long time. They've been a beautiful display. Those tobaccos were not meant to be planted in that planter, but there they are, the flowering tobaccos. So they done all right for. There were supposed to be more of those red flowers, and they weren't. Somebody planted the wrong seeds there. So far, the only tree that still has fruit is the apple. The peaches are gone, but we're looking like we might get some apples. We'll see. Still got a while. But yeah, I mean, considering that we've been under the heat dome and everything else going on, I'm not too upset about it. Oh, these are going to be beautiful. I will be sure to get footage of them when they actually bloom. But those are quite lovely. Be real happy about that. These guys I was trying to hold up with string, but now they're getting too heavy and falling over. Same thing here. All these black-eyed Susie, like I said, they're coming over, they're falling over. Probably cut some of them, put them in vases, take them in the house, do something with them. Because they're turning into a mess out here. And then we have the zinnias here in the driveway garden, as we call it. They're doing okay. Coming up, all the whatever, I forget what it's called, with hollyhocks. All the hollyhocks are pretty much dying back and going to seed. I cut all those, all that chamomile, hoping it would come back, and of course the heat hit us. So this is a lot more bare than I would like. But again, like this is year 2 or 3 of this one, and so giving things an opportunity to take over and self-seed themselves well is the idea. And then this guy's doing great, especially in the heat. The melons are spreading out. I haven't seen any flower or fruit yet, I don't think, but they're there. Melons are growing, look better than they did last year. I'm gonna have to come out here and get me some lettuce, and some kale and stuff to take for my salad next week. But that stuff's doing fantastic. And I imagine it's shading the ground and helping to keep the moisture in as well. So this is all well and good. So that'll lead us to just kind of go around and check out the keyhole garden, where those coleuses have not really grown like I wanted them to. I haven't really done much of anything. Like I said, part of that's probably how dry it's been. They still have time. We'll see what they do. The dahlias have done well though. Kind of that one's looking a little rough, but it was good for a day or two there. We've got more coming. What's this one? How's that one look? That one's not looking too bad. Same thing here. These guys have been magnificent. We'll get around there. Of course, the foxgloves have all gone to seed, which is what we want. Even my red vein sorrel is going to seed, which is, I mean, I like it, so it's fine. But yeah, these are absolutely magnificent. And this is still, yeah, still the best place to sit in the yard. These chairs never get sun. Once these leaves come in, like these chairs literally never get sun. So it's always at least 10 degrees cooler under here, sometimes 15. Like I said, there's more things feed in there. We figure out what does and doesn't do well. I'm not sure about that storm cloud. I think it's gonna be fine. I think it's just the heat. But because it's supposed to like a lot of sun, and I think it's gonna be fine into next year. But yeah, that's pretty much the state of the garden right now and the state of things. And I hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, I will try and put together as full a video as I can of putting in the pond and how much work went into that. So, yep, that's it. Still haven't thought of a snazzy sign off, so that's what you're left with.